Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Debi Lander is a freelance writer. She's a photographer who specializes in travel, food, and lifestyle, and she's joining us on Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel show today to share some of her favorite lessons learned from the road. And she's been around. I'm just saying.
Well, okay.
I know. If you go to her website, she likes castles, and then she'll go hang out in Jordan. She's been all over the world. She's been to over 40 countries, over 40 states, over 60 countries. That's a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and she writes about it. So I encourage you to go to her website, bylanderc, because, Lander, bylanderc.
I get it.
.com,
Cool.
And from there you can go to her blog, and you can follow her on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well. And, she shares her global journeys and publishes her stories there, and she writes for a lot of different publications as well. She's also an active member of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Of course, we love our Second Friday segments with them on our Vacation Station Food, Wine, Travel show. And so we encourage you, especially if you're a travel writer, or if you're in the world of tourism, if you are a CVB, check out ifwtwa.org. Welcome, Debi. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're excited to chat with you because today you're going to talk about slow travel for boomer women. And I just want to say I think this should be for everyone because when you say slow travel, that, Nancy and I call each other the tortoise and the hare, and we swap roles all the time about that. But it seems to me it's really about taking time in the destination you're in and not, not looking.
It's going beyond just, the typical tourist 2-hour tour or half-day tour and staying and really connecting or interacting with the destination in some way. And that can be, that can be physical, or you can take a class, or you can, do all sorts of things.
I think it's awesome. I like the part about taking a class. Where you really do something out of the ordinary, learn something new, attempt something really new. It gets you out of your comfort zone. I think it's exciting.
It is, and it's really, really fun to do that because a lot of times you have a memento to bring home. If you've painted someplace or even if you've just done a cooking class, you have new recipes to bring home.
Yeah,
it's
I want to
one
go
of my
toss
favorite things
pizza.
to do.
Yeah, I want to go toss pizza dough. I think that sounds like fun.
I think that's dangerous.
It would be hard to beat the fact that my 25-year-old daughter and I took a macaroon-making class in Paris.
Cool. Oh, that's cool. Did they give you champagne while you did that?
No, they didn't.
Oh. Well, let's go knock on their door and just say, classes with champagne always sound so much better to me. I want to tell people, too, that you have a whole article about this up on blendradioandtv.com. If you just type in Debi Lander, and that's Debi, D-E-B-I, Debi Lander, or just type in slow travel for boomer women, you'll see it there with a nice slideshow of her world travels. It'll also be featured in the May-June issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. I find this very exciting about just, soaking into the cultures and the places that you are in at the time. But, over 60 countries, you said you've been to 47 states. I was, reading your bio and everything. It's like, wow. When did you start traveling? Is this something you did as a child?
No, I didn't get to travel much as a child at all. And I think I used to watch the Disney's Wide World, of whatever it was called, Color, I think then it was called. And I used to just dream about going to Disneyland. But I really didn't get to travel much, at least abroad, until the year 2000.
Huh. Wow.
And that was the year I turned 50. And I decided I needed to do something monumental to celebrate that birthday.
Cool.
So I decided to run my first marathon. And where was I going to run it? Athens, Greece, where they started.
Wow.
Why not?
Don't mess with Debi. Okay. So a marathon.
That's funny.
Now, wait, did you run it all beforehand? I mean, are you a runner? Or is this
No.
like completely...
I wasn't really a runner. I started off doing 5Ks and then worked my way up gradually. And I used something called the Jeff Galloway method, where you walk and run. You walk 1 minute every so often, and you can get through a marathon that way. You're not fast, but you finish.
I like that. We actually have a friend, Dennis Yang. He ran the circumference of America.
Oh, my.
Promoting children's literacy. He's an author and an endurance runner. And we followed his journey while he was doing it on the radio. It was so funny because we have him going around the circumference of the country, and at the same time he was running, we had a friend walk across the country. And it's like, and they're both different ages. And Jim had actually cycled around it. But
we also had those two guys that drove across eating pie.
Yeah, we had that. But what was really great about this, Dennis said that, I was like, dude, you're never going to see Nancy and I try to run. But, like, there's that, how do we get started? And it's exactly how you said. You just run a little bit, stop, walk. Just run a little bit. And he's like, just think about doing a little bit all the time, and it'll get better. And I think that's the same with travel. Sometimes people are scared to go to a foreign country, and it's like, well, let's start with going outside your state or outside your town. Start a little bit, and then the bug bites you, right?
Yes, and I think probably too, if you haven't traveled much, either go on a tour the first time you go out of the country, or maybe go to some place like England where they speak English. So that you're not totally overwhelmed with, everything being new and a different language.
Now, we know you like England because of the castles, right?
I do, yes. Particularly Scotland. I think I saw, 20 castles in Scotland alone.
Wow. We lived in England. We do slow travel. We just move places.
Yeah, we just end up living.
Yeah. And
that's even better.
I know, I can't help it.
It's actually crazy. But.
Yeah, and we've done tours, like 2 to 3 year tours of places, and we're going back on the road with our Big Blend Spirit of America tour, of big tours and nonstop travels, and it's because we keep going in circles no matter what. So we've learned that because we can't just do exactly, we're talking about how people will fly in, just walk down the street, eat the iconic meal, and bail, and not really get to understand why that iconic meal is so famous. Why are we having deep dish pizza in Chicago? But at least you're doing something. So in that way, I've got to say, everybody, you do what you can, and maybe that's all you can do. But yeah, England. We lived in England, and we did England, Scotland, and Wales when I was a little girl. And I started a postcard collection. I became a collector. But I had to go to the places to get the postcards, and it was all the castles. I was so into the castles because they're creepy, but they're super cool as well. The gardens and the moats and the dungeons. When you go down under the dungeons, doesn't that freak you out? Like where you can see where the prisoners used to carve in the walls and stuff?
Oh, yes. But, and it really does make history come alive. I mean, you can envision, a moat around the castle and people trying to get across the drawbridge and it being closed. The whole thing with the castles, I think, is just really fun.
Well,
and it works
convinces
really well
you,
with kids as well.
Yeah, it convinces you that history is actually real, that it really did happen. It's not just a teacher talking to you and telling you something happened. You soak it in that way.
Well, I really think that happens at so many places that you visit, not just castles. That's what, the little dot on the map now becomes something real and understandable. And you know what happened there.
Like in South Africa, we saw dinosaur prints. I think that's one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. It's just like dinosaurs were really here. They're real. Not just bones in a museum somewhere, actual footprints of dinosaurs.
Very cool.
It's so cool.
I know. Now, here's the other thing. You went to Tanzania. We used to live in Kenya, and we hop over the border to Tanzania to say, hi, we're here.
Well, because you were told not to.
I know. But you did it more of it was kind of like a volunteering kind of thing, right? When you were over there.
I did. I did a volunteer vacation in Tanzania. I, as a photographer, really wanted to do a safari. But when I started looking at the prices, I was like, that is not going to work in my budget. So I discovered that if I did a volunteer vacation for 2 weeks, there were 2 days where they actually took you to the big, safari parks at the end, sort of as your reward. So I signed up for a volunteer vacation and, of course, ended up loving the work part of it as much as the safari.
Yeah.
Interacting with the people, especially with the kids, was really meaningful and memorable.
That's a real eye-opener.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure. I think, and when you get to really just hang out and understand the people, I think that's one of the top things to me, is where you just to bridge that gap of whatever you think you know and you don't know, and just spend that time. And that's the thing. When you get so rushed in travel, you don't get that time to breathe in the air and smell. And you talk about this in your article about the seven wonders of the world, but you're into the different senses really when you're traveling. And you talk about that, to actually hear and touch and see and taste. I want to add smell in there.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that goes along with tasting, I think. But no, sometimes you smell without it being a dining situation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. One of my first experiences in Kenya working for Joy Adamson was sitting on a rock blindfolded, naked as well, and having to smell, because it's like she was teaching me to smell animals that approached. And as long as I could see, she was like, no, you're not using all your senses. You're only using your vision. And so it was interesting. And then you can smell rhino pee 2 miles away from where the rhino is peeing, just so you know.
Okay, Nancy.
Okay.
There you go. And
so
there you have it.
Well, there is smell without being attached to food.
Yeah, okay. There you go. There is. So, but you get into the senses, and then when you travel, that some of the things that you do is you go and stay in Airbnbs more often than not, because that's, again, you're living there for a while versus the in and out and somebody else is making you breakfast.
Well, I think you really get to feel like you do become part of the city or the town for even, 3 or 4 days. Yes, I like the idea of, it's saving money, first of all, but, you can easily make yourself breakfast and then get out early and start doing your touring. And I find the Airbnbs are usually very convenient. At least you can pick ones that are. Owners of them, or whoever they have meet you, they all were wonderful people, and they gave us personal advice about their own city or destination that was really helpful. And many of them gave me a bottle of wine, or they made some homemade goodie for me.
Wow!
It was above and beyond what I ever expected.
Wow.
How interesting, So now, when you're doing the Airbnb side, we've stayed in vacation homes, a lot of them when we were on our tour. We'd have our Big Blend Spirit of America tour that we're on this quest to visit and cover all 417 national park units in the country. And all their gateway communities. We want to bridge that gap so people do both when they travel, so that they go to the park and balance it out by knowing the gateway community as well, and vice versa. And we did it for 3 years full time, and Now we're here back home in Tucson, but it's the itchy bug is out, so we're doing really big, extended, slow travel like you talk about. I love your article because it's exactly how we travel, and we've learned like it's just the happiest and the best, and you make friends and relationships. And vacation rentals, and I'm not knocking hotels. Hotels serve a huge purpose, and we do love them, and B&Bs. But the vacation rentals, I remember just as people that are working, because you're travel writing and doing everything as you're going, there was also that luxury of being able to work at 2 in the morning and go in and make the cup of coffee or toast if you need. You know what I mean? Just having that work
and
space.
Laundry. We used to check off on a big one. Airbnb. You can do what they call a filter, where you put the things that are important to you. And a washing machine was always important because we were traveling for 6 months solid. And, that's just a wonderful thing to have, like, right in your apartment as opposed to having to go to the laundromat. And, being able to make a cup of coffee or cup of tea.
Yeah. And internet. That
that was always absolutely, that was something we checked off, that we had to have internet.
That's it. And then you also talked about hiring a private guide, and I think that is something,
that's a good idea.
That is a really big deal. Like you say, okay, the Airbnb owners or the people that meet you can give you personal things, that personal touch, but also, having someone that can take you around and actually, you say licensed. Do you want licensed ones?
Yes, but there are many, and when you are looking online, you can find some. There's also an organization called toursbylocals.com. And these are people that they do know what they're doing. The best tour guides have been my private guides. They know every angle. Sometimes they know the doorkeeper or another way into a place. They know the secret little stories behind it. So you can get a private guide for just a specific location, or you can get one, let's say you want to learn about architecture. Then, look for a guide that specializes in an architectural tour. So you're getting exactly what you want. Yes, you are paying extra for it, but in the long run, I think that the times that we hired a private guide were well worth the money.
Well, then you get to see the best of the best of what you came to see, which I think that's actually a savings. When you travel and you take the time and money to travel somewhere, especially if you're going out of your state or country, then you don't want to come home feeling like, well, you didn't see as much as you could have.
Or you saw something and you have no clue what you looked at.
Yeah.
That's the thing to me. Like when you go into a national park, go into the visitor center first if you can. There's some, like here in southern Arizona, we have Fort Bowie, and you have to take a 1.5 mile hike in before you get to the visitor center.
But it's fun.
Or you can, there's a route for those who can't do that. But, going to the visitor center first, or going and attending one of the park ranger programs or lectures or guided walks, then when you go exploring on your own, you know what that flower is, or you know what poison oak looks like and poison ivy.
Important things, yes.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to touch on that because you did like a nice long trip out in the West and going to national park country, right? Didn't you do that last year?
I did that last summer, yes.
Oh, nice.
I started in Utah, flew to Colorado, Denver, and then drove to Utah and did some of the parks there, and then came back and flew up to Wyoming, where I was attending a conference, and went to a dude ranch in Wyoming for 2 nights. That was really cool. Yeah. And then I took off after the meeting and did South Dakota, North Dakota, and ended up flying back from Minneapolis.
Wow. That's cool. Now, are you pre-planned, like, for every single day? I mean, when you travel, or do you kind of have your main structure and lodging, and then you kind of have flexibility, or how do you plan?
I like to plan my lodging ahead, particularly if you're going to do Airbnbs. The good ones get snatched up early. So I like to plan the lodging early and then leave the calendar part, what you're going to see and do, more flexible, because that too depends on the weather.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah, we've been run out of places because of hurricanes, and we always leave when something like that's happening, because as far as I'm concerned, the locals need whatever services are there,
Mm-hmm.
you want to don't be in the way of the locals. If something's going down, get out if you can. And don't clog the system, So whenever we see any kind of imminent thing, we run.
Well, and having a plan B, if you're planning to do something outdoors this one day and it's pouring rain, well then, the idea that you know that there's a museum that you want to go to.
I see a lot of 3-week tours. Is that a good number? Yeah, I see China for 3 weeks. You did the Western states for 3 weeks. Is that a favorite? Is that a good number?
I like 3 weeks, but I will go just about anywhere for any length of time.
I know you're like us.
Yeah.
It's it's whatever I can pull off and what works into a schedule.
Nice.
When I went to Europe for 6 months, I actually closed my apartment, put everything I owned in storage so that I wouldn't have rent, and went that way. And I went with a girlfriend who had recently retired, so she was flexible, and we plotted out our whole trip. But we started in Turkey, and we ended up in England.
You sound like us, except we took I went to Kenya 2 times as a tour leader, came back, got divorced, went to Kenya, and ended up living there.
Yeah.
And it just happened. I loved it so much, and it just felt freer and kinder than the States was feeling for me at that time. And so it just happened.
It's a good thing to do when you get divorced, too.
Yeah.
Just to go halfway around the world.
Yeah.
Put that distance between you.
Nanny. And just somehow, there are certain countries we ended up living in.
Yeah. England.
We went to see them, and then, like England.
Mexico, that happened.
Yeah.
America, that happened.
Yeah, so certain places you're like, okay, I just don't feel like leaving yet. Next thing you know, you're living there.
Yeah.
And I guess you'd have to work out how many days you can actually stay in a place.
Yeah.
Unless you can get a work visa or something.
Or if you're there illegally, we won't get into that, Nancy.
No.
Nobody told me.
Well, I did not realize before I went to Europe that I was only allowed to stay in what they call the Schengen countries, which is pretty much the EU countries, for 90 days. Huh. You can only stay for 90 days out of 180, which is half a year. So now England, Wales, Scotland, they're not Schengen countries, so that's why I spent 6 weeks there. Went to St. Petersburg, Russia for 2 weeks. And then in the beginning, Turkey was not part of that Schengen nation. Mm-hmm. So I had to plan the whole trip knowing where, counting up those 90 days so that I would not be illegal.
And then what happens with Brexit and all these things? You have to look. That's another thing that can change your travel plans is what happens politically in a country. Right. That can change things up real fast or make you move countries. Like South Africa, that we had to come home.
Yeah, it was like
I didn't know my country. It was time to come see America, So why not? That's the way to go. So now you also went to Japan. That has got to have been isn't that? It's like one of the most prosperous countries too, and so fascinating.
So fascinating, and well, I wasn't expecting to go to Japan, and it happened at the last minute, and I said, oh, absolutely, I would go, and I had been to China probably, less than a year before. And I found that really fascinating was the difference between China and Japan. The Japanese are very polite, very organized, very, very clean. Tokyo, I don't think I saw a piece of trash on the street ever.
Wow.
Things, that I wasn't expecting. Very advanced toilets in Japan. Toilets that will play music when you sit down, or the seats are heated. Or really,
dun, 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 dun.
I want that. I want that.
Well, just imagine, do you get to pick the music that happens when
Yeah, did they have
no,
to
I don't think so.
I'm just gonna go dun 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 dun.
I know. It's like, oh wow, it would be so cool.
That's really funny.
Was it rhythm number 1 or 2?
That's going to be box water music.
No, that's classic. Well, don't they have the restaurant that is like the toilet restaurant or something where food comes in like things looking like a toilet?
What?
There's a toilet
I
restaurant.
don't know.
That doesn't work for me.
Okay. Well, this is fast. Okay. Now, what about the food? Because you talk about, getting the taste of things and, when you're in a place, eat what's there. I mean, and really getting into that. So have you ever been in a place where you're like, I mean, China serves scorpions, okay?
Ew.
Now, would you do that?
Did you do that?
I did not do that. I wasn't in a place in China where they were serving scorpions, although I will tell you, I did eat some things in China that I had no idea what they were. I did not get sick. I am very careful about the water I drink when I'm traveling, and I do try to stay away in third world countries or out of the way places, the raw fruits and vegetables. I'm just real careful about those. But I will eat food from a street vendor if it looks okay.
A lot of times that food is actually fresher.
Better.
It's quick.
Fresher.
Yeah, and do it in the morning when they first get there.
You really do need to smell it.
Yeah, it would go back to the smell. It went to the smelling of everything. But yeah, so now is there anything that you, from your travels, that you miss, that you just, I mean, there's things, like in this country we don't have what's called cook sisters, and they make this in South Africa. And there's things that are very similar, but it just isn't the same. And it's like almost like a donut, but it's like a braid, like a long, like it's.
I think they call them crullers.
Yeah, but it's
crullers.
like deep fried, and it's kind of like that, but not the same.
It's just not the same.
And it's like it's just like soaked in honey and deep. I can't even explain it. And I really want one right now.
So bad for
and
you.
even the more I think of it, my teeth are bending on how sweet it is, But there's like things that you just can't have. I don't care if they can't. By the time it gets here, shipped over, I don't care. It's not the same as eating it there. Are there things you miss from your travels?
Oh, yes, there are. I fell in love with Indian food when I traveled in India.
Oh.
And I will find my way to an Indian restaurant here in the States frequently because I miss that. And I don't really know how to make it. I do try to make a few of the things. But, that and really just every country has something that's special, and you need to taste it while you're there. And
yeah, I agree.
Like
enjoy
chapati.
it.
I miss Indian food now, too. Thank you. I'm getting hungry. This is I had really good samosa. I'm on the search for a really good samosa.
Oh, I know.
It is. There's just, oh, man, yummy. So now the other thing I really love about your article, you talk about climb every mountain or hill, get active.
Yeah.
Get out there. We're park people, and parks are history, nature, and we're advocates of people taking a 1-hour walk. We have a Facebook group devoted to that. Getting people out, so hashtag 1-hour walk. Everyone, come on, just get out and take a walk. And it's about, opening your senses, just like what you're talking about, slowing down, being observant, and getting some fresh air. Well, depending on where you are, there goes the smelling again. But you're into that and doing it in different ways, whatever's there. Like
whatever is there. But, I think especially for boomer women, now is the time to do it. I mean, climb the bell tower or the church dome and get the view when you get to the top. If when I was in Scotland it was, hiking some of the trails. But, if I wait another 10 or 15 years, maybe I won't be able to climb up to the top of that. So I try to do all those things now.
It's true.
I'm like that. I'm impatient about it. I'm scared about it because and this sounds terrible, but it's true. I'm in my early 40s, and I'm losing friends at my age and younger right now to cancer, like a lot. And I'm going, this wasn't in the cards for us when we were growing up. This was, for when we were elders that was supposed to happen, but it's happening now, and I'm just paranoid about not living life 100% to the fullest. And I want everybody else to have that urgency. Get out there, do it.
Yep.
So I feel like don't wait.
I don't think you ever regret taking the trip. It's sort of like the exercise. Once it's done, you're always happy you did it. And yes, sometimes it is work. I mean, and physical, but the memories are just great.
It's too much fun,
Yeah, and your body says, "Ooh, I did something," and you pushed yourself, and you get those endorphin rushes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes things don't go exactly as you planned, but there's such good stories later. It's so much fun. It's better than not going, for sure.
I wanted to ask you about this trip that you took into a national park in Croatia, and I'm going to let you pronounce it because you went there and I can't. I don't know.
It's pronounced Plitvice, but it's
wow.
spelled Plitvice, and it is the most incredible national park I think I've ever been in. The waterfalls are all over the place, and from the giant falls to itty-bitty ones where the water just seems to gush out of the ground and all around. Well, Judy and I were hiking there for about 5 hours, and we honestly got to the point where we turn a corner and go, oh, no, another waterfall, because we had seen so many fabulous waterfalls. It was an astounding day. And I am so glad we went out of our way to do that, to go to that national park.
That's amazing. Isn't it cool? And nature just trumps everything to me. It really does. Nature just always, just astounds, and it's so humbling, when you have that kind of experience. It's just like, how did all of that work? How does it happen? It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I know. And then you did, going into the other thing, the spas and things like that, you did the communal hot springs is it onsen baths, you say, in Japan?
Onsen baths in Japan. Well, of course, you do go into them naked, and they are communal, but they're women only or men only. I can't tell you how wonderful it was to go before I went to bed. I mean, it was outside, and I walked down the stairs, and then I'm in this sort of hot tub, hot springs, looking at illuminated trees that are, on the property. It was the most relaxing, the most just, calming, wonderful experience. Nobody was speaking, just everybody was into their own sort of little Zen space.
Wow. But then, so getting into spas and things, it's so interesting because you're like, this is like the local thing. So you also plunged into a hole in the ice after a sauna in Canada. This is in her article, everybody, up on blendradioandtv.com. Just type in slow travel for boomer women, and you'll find it. And you'll see her photos, which are fabulous. So, how did you do that? Did you have a shot of something before you did that?
No, I think I shot out of it, though. We first took a sauna, and then the first round was you jumped into a swimming pool outside that was very cold, but it wasn't frozen on the top. And then you did something else in between. I can't remember what that was. And then you went back into the sauna and you got all hot again. And then you went down to the lake, and they had cut a hole in the ice and put in a little wooden stairs. And you jumped in, and I shot back out.
Wow. But I'm just wondering if your heart really liked that.
Yeah. I mean, what did your body think? I mean,
I think my heart was racing, probably as much from fear as it was from the shock of the water. My skin turned bright red from the difference, but I felt really good afterwards, I must say.
Really?
Wow, this is it. So do you keep a list of these experiences? Like, these are like the crazy things I've done?
I don't know that I've kept a list of them, but those are the stories that you like to tell.
would you go skydiving? Have you done that?
I did go skydiving, and I
knew
think that it was the most empowering thing I have ever done,
yeah.
other than give childbirth. If you can jump out of a plane, you sit there and tell yourself, well, then I can jump into the lake, or I can.
See, now I would jump out of the plane before I do the cold water thing.
No, okay, so jumping out of a plane, because I'm bad at heights. I get weird vertigo, and there's that side of me that, like, if I'm driving on a mountain pass and I'm on the edge, there's that side of me that just goes like, what happens if? What happens if I cough and then I, Thelma and Louise us over, not meaning to, but just it's so easy to. And, like, when things can just happen in life, then you have that, I don't know where it came from. But,
living in Africa.
But it's like this stuff happens. And I remember Big Sur going over the bridge going, this is not good. This is a scary thing. And then someone did go over the bridge in Big Sur the second time we went over, and I'm like, see, I told you. And then the bridge had a problem. I have a thing about bridges. Nancy, you went over a bridge that collapsed in South Africa. Right at the end, she got over, and the whole thing collapsed during a flood. But this is going on a skydiving thing and jumping out of a plane and all of that. Do you think that would help someone like me who gets, like, a little weird?
I do think it's really empowering. I think I was afraid of heights before I did it, and it cured me of that.
Oh, really? Okay.
The place that I took the skydiving lesson from actually used to run a class once a month, and they donated this to battered women. And it was a way to bring them power back, that they could feel that if they could jump out of the plane, they could handle whatever it was they were facing in their life.
Wow,
that's amazing. I know a lot of people who do that just to get themselves their confidence levels up, and everyone that I've talked to, like exactly what you said, it's like this is one of the most empowering things they've ever done, is to do that. So that's awesome. And that's the thing, travel and getting out there and getting out of the comfort zone is always the big part of that. How did you get into travel writing?
Well, I got into travel writing when I was writing a newsletter about fitness when I decided to do that marathon in Athens, and I wrote the story up, and people said, oh, we really loved reading that. And I just kind of, this little light went on in the back of my head that said, this might be something I could do. So I started writing. I certainly was never an English major. And the photography, kind of the same way. I jumped in and I started taking classes and some online classes and, some hands-on photo workshops, and I just love it.
Well, you're good. You're really good. Your photos are amazing, and your article made me just want to go, okay, that's it. I'm walking out the door. Let's go. Let's do it. And it's very inspiring and motivating, and so I appreciate that. And your stories, I mean, you're inspiring. Your travels are awesome, and so I'm really glad you do what you do. I know that you also write a monthly travel column in Florida Newsline Publications. You're based out of Florida, right?
I am. Yes, I'm in Central Florida.
Oh, we used to live in Florida.
Yeah. We used to live just about everywhere.
Yeah. We lived in Nancy was in West Palm, and then I was in Melbourne, and then we ended up in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in Mexico. So there you go.
Panama City.
Yeah, in Pensacola area.
Yeah.
Well, I used to live in the Jacksonville area, and then I lived in St. Augustine for a number of years, which I dearly loved. And then, as I said, when I went to Europe, I closed up my apartment, and now I'm in horse country in Central Florida.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So when you were traveling and you packed up everything, right? We gave everything away, and then we came back and went, oops, we gave our stuff back. No, but we gave it to people transitioning from being homeless into getting their first place again. And it was, to me, that was empowering and was cool. It was a very, very good exercise. And we're used to not having much anyway because we keep traveling and moving countries, and why take a piece of furniture? Who cares, unless it's, I don't know, Queen Elizabeth's death or something.
You learn that when you travel for any extended period of time is you don't need all that stuff anymore.
Right, exactly. Right, and that was where I was going with this is you pack things away, when we were on the tour, like, we never envisioned this coming back, and now we're like in that thing now, and we're going to be doing some massive road trips that, you know, could be endless. Who knows? But it's that thing when you start traveling and you're living very simply. You can't just start adding things in. So the shopping thing, with a lot of people, shopping is one of the top things they do when they travel. It's one of the few things Nancy and I ever do, unless it's music or a book or something. But even that world has changed, or plants. But when you travel, like, isn't it weird when you're not really going home right now, where you go in a place and you'll look at something, you like it, and then all of a sudden we got to this place where you couldn't really vision it, and every time I'd look at something in a store or a piece of art, I would go, oh, I love that. I would start going in my mind where to put that in different houses. Like, I couldn't figure out where to put it in my mind. You know, I can't even explain it. It was the weirdest thing. And it's like,
no, because I would say, well, I can't get that because, you know what? I don't have a house.
That would happen. Yeah. I mean, that's reality.
But we also learned, like, because we were moving, like, say, after a week, and we had bought some groceries, we learned to use up some things. We found that pesto worked really well on eggs, and you'd be surprised at different ways you can use up pesto. And we bought a lot of rotisserie chickens.
Yep, we have been there. Like, in South Africa, you're not, here in this country, they don't care if you have food in your room. And some places, like, there's certain places you do not do that. But we on the road in South Africa, we were on the road for 2.5 years, nonstop, and we got to this point. We took a chicken to our room. And at that point, you're supposed, that's, all hotels back there pretty much at the time had restaurants, and you're not supposed to do that. It's rude. But here we were going up to our room, and we
in the elevator.
This chicken in this little bag I had.
Not a live one. Just so people get that.
Rotisserie chicken. We got on in the elevator, and all of a sudden the steam was coming out. You could smell it. And everybody starts looking at me because I'm the kid, of course. They get, all the bad things I did, because then it was like, oh, she's a kid. I remember feeling terrible, and they were like, what do we do? Why did we get this whole chicken? Because we were in a hotel room. We didn't have anything to store it, but it was like we wanted food badly. You get, like, out when you're out in the bush for a week, like, suddenly you just, like, I need, like, chicken. And we sat there, like, both of us just with our hands just picking out on that chicken. I'll never forget that chicken. I'm so glad you said rotisserie chicken.
Well, they seem to be pretty universal.
Yeah.
I know. That's the one thing you can get. But I will say...
And peanut butter.
At least at the time when we were living in Africa, chicken was way more expensive than beef.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And no, I could not find peanut butter all over. There were places that did not have peanut butter. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I suppose, yeah. Like, here in the States, South Africa, we ended up eating, when we were out in the bush, we had these cracker things, Provitas. I can't remember the name. And we had this Melrose cheese, which now I realize is really bad for you. Like,
it wasn't really cheese.
It's like cheese spread, but then we realized now we're in the world of processed food. But sometimes that's, it's like you're in the military. That's what you have to eat.
That can last.
Yeah.
Without refrigeration.
And mustard. You can use mustard for everything, too.
Even on eggs.
Yeah.
Actually, mustard on eggs is really good.
Pesto. I never thought about pesto. I do that with salsa, but I never thought about pesto like that. That's interesting. Pesto. I'm going to do that at some point. Okay, so we got food tips here. So now, writing-wise, okay, so everyone, again, can go to your website, bylanderc.com. Got a great blog. I've enjoyed it. You've been to some of our favorite places, Natchitoches, Louisiana. You've been to some of our little places. We're going back there this year, so we're excited.
It is lovely here.
I love it there.
Did you have a meat pie, Lesions?
Yes, I had a meat pie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to. See, you have to when you go to places like that. But now, like, being part of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, does that go hand in hand? Like you were saying, when you're getting into writing, you just delved in, you jumped in, took classes for photography, all of that. Does IFTWA, as we call it, the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, does that help you on that side of it as well? Just kind of you network with people, or you?
It's a great support net. Yes, I have gone on some IFTWA sponsored trips. Jordan was one of those, and I think all of us that were on that trip have stayed in touch and support each other. Yeah, it is really nice, and they have a monthly newsletter that is just crammed full of guidance, information on sometimes how to take a better picture or write a better story, but also tips on places to go and possibly places that would host you as a writer. So it's a very, very useful organization, and I'm very glad I belong.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that Jordan trip, I think they've done 2 now. I mean, watching everyone's photos, and I love it because it's so real. I mean, really, like, that's a world away, isn't it? Jordan seems like I want to go. I want to go there.
I think Jordan is astounding in what it has to offer. It's absolutely incredible, from archaeological ruins to great adventures in the desert of Wadi Rum and, camping in the desert, spending the night there. And then there's luxury as well. You might, one day we went from a tent camp to this luxury hotel the next night. It was kind of okay.
How cool.
And the food in Jordan is fantastic. It is a country, I think, that is underrated in Americans' minds.
Huh. And while you were there, you went into the Dead Sea and had a mud bath.
Yeah, that's funny.
I did.
Good picture
of that,
too.
That's what you do when you go to the Dead Sea, is you put mud all over yourself, and then you let yourself dry and bake, and then you wash it off, and your skin feels great.
Pulls out the impurities, man. I want to do that. That sounds good. Yeah.
And
you've done all kinds of, like, different kind of spa treatments. That's my style right there. Get in and, do like what animals do. Animals, like, cover themselves in mud all the time.
To get rid of ticks.
Well, just say, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. All right, I'm not going there. So, where is your next destination?
Well, I'm going to Mississippi for a week coming up to explore Vicksburg and Natchez and Biloxi and Jackson.
Nice.
And some of the Civil War things going on, a new Civil War museum that's been built there. And then I'm going back to China at the end of March for 2 weeks.
Wonderful. Wonderful. This is so exciting because we're going where you're going. So I'm following you. And I love following you on Instagram. I started following you. Everyone, bylanderc.com, and that's Lander, bylanderc.com. And I saw that you were in Tucson. I saw you do the Tanque Verde Trail on horseback. On that.
I did. That was quite a couple of years ago, but it was a wonderful dude ranch out there. And you ride right through the cactus fields.
Yeah. I never thought of it as cactus fields, but yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do have fields of saguaros out here. Yeah, so I'm glad you enjoyed our hometown. I just wish we knew you when you were here so we could have a margarita, like with jalapenos in it and stuff. That would have been cool. That's the thing to do. Have to have a margarita in Tucson. But I'm glad you got to experience here. But, yeah, we're going to go through Natchez. And so you're going to be doing part of the Natchez Trace probably traveling-wise if you're going to do Jackson and Natchez, Mississippi. You're going to end up part of the Natchez Trace Trail. And that's
a little bit of it, yeah. I would like to do the whole thing, but that would have to be on a different trip.
Well, follow us on Instagram. We'll be there.
I want to do the Pony Express on a pony.
I know. Good. Giddy up, Nancy. Giddy up. Giddy up.
I really would like to do that.
I know. Debbie,
it'd be so interesting to recreate how those guys did the Pony Express.
It would be.
Not as fast, although that would be fun. I mean, I just want to haul into town and throw this patch down and pick up the mail and go.
Well, you can do that here. They do the Butterfield stage route thing that they do that in San Diego.
No, I want to be the Pony Express guy on the horse.
They do that. The Butterfield stage route instead of the Pony Express, but they do that. They go on horseback and they bring out, there's California has it.
Well,
you can
I
do
want
it.
to do it.
They do it in the Yosemite country,
and you
too.
get to really deliver the mail?
They do it. They do the whole reenactment. Yep.
I want to do it. I don't even
Debbie,
know
you want
why.
to come up? Would you do it, Debbie?
Absolutely.
It
Sign me
sounds
up.
like fun.
Okay, cool. Let's all do it. And
Let's
you
do
can
the
do the
movie.
Juan Bautista Trail, by the way, that way. That Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail. People have ridden all the way from the start of it, 600 miles south in Mexico, all the way up to San Francisco. They've done it on horseback.
Wow.
They've
Some
cycled
of them
it, too.
walked it. The real
people
walked it.
And there's some people who've done that. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay, I got one more question before you leave, since you love to walk too and hike. If you could take a 1-hour walk with anyone in the world, alive or passed on, or fictional, who would it be, and where would you take that walk?
Oh, my gosh.
I know, it's a good question.
It's a great question. I have
my
no
favorite one
idea
in the world.
how to answer it.
You can go by
honestly, I don't know.
It's not anybody you've always wanted to meet?
No, I can't think of anybody. But I think a person that I would really enjoy talking travel with is Rick Steves.
That would be cool, to go on a walk with him. That would be cool. He's done a lot, man. He knows his stuff. That would be cool. And where would you walk?
Well, anywhere, but I think I would listen to one of his YouTubes recently about when the big horse race in Siena, and I think that would be just fabulous to go there.
I think I saw something on that. I did see something on that about that area. I love that, because I love that you're like not like, oh, I have to meet this person, that person, because you definitely have that travel thing of whatever happens. Like you're open. You're, you know what I mean, and not dead set on have to do this, have to do that. You know, just the way you answered that, I love that about you. That you have that openness to adventure. So prosper, lady. Love it.
Okay, and in the U.S., I think I really want to go to Antelope Canyon.
Oh, yes.
I haven't been there, in Utah, so that's on the list.
Antelope Canyon would be that whole, like, I think you even have to have a permit to walk through there. I mean, it's so beautiful. The photography that I see out of that, I'm just like, I want to do that, especially when they have the sand coming in through the light.
There's so many places to go.
We were near there. We did see it. It was years ago, and just timing didn't work. And that's that thing. See, that's exactly what I love about the slow travel. We were there, and of course had to hit the next destination. We were at Horseshoe Bend and that whole, just Marble Canyon, that whole area, and didn't get to do Antelope Canyon. Isn't that nuts? Like, you're right there. You're right there.
Yeah. Well,
I hate that.
But
that's why you go back.
Exactly. You can't do everything. So
I know.
But you can plan to go back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. But do as much as you can, as fast as you can. Like, not as fast, but like get on it. Like, get going is the point.
I think you just go and soak it in.
Yeah, and go in the mud bath. I like that too. Debi, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you and reading your article, looking at your photos, and now following you on Instagram and Twitter, and just really a pleasure. So thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much. It was fun talking with you.
You too. I'm like, this is so cool. And everyone, bylanderc.com. She's also on Instagram, as I was saying. And also, if you're a travel writer, go to ifwtwa.org. We call it IFTWA, the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. They have a great conference coming up May 6th through 8th up in Whidbey Island in Camino, up in Washington State. That's going to be absolutely fabulous. We've been covering those destinations for a while now, and I want to go. I'm just saying, it looks so beautiful out there. So,
dude, I just feel like a road trip coming.
I know, road trip's coming. And Debi, thanks for not helping on that. Because we're going to travel even more. Again, Debi's article, Slow Travel for Boomer Women, is up on blendradioandtv.com, and also will be featured in the May and June issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. And Debi, we're going to play a little song for you. We love playing this as our favorite travel song, and it's called Traveling. It's from our friend Wally Lauder. He's based here in Tucson, Arizona, but we met him on the road when we were in Silver City, New Mexico, and he was living there at the time. He's traveled the world, Australia. He just came back from Zurich, and he went to Milan. Yeah, he just came back off the road, too.
Cool.
He travels all over. And this song is called Traveling. So enjoy. So thank you so much.
I will.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Driving up the coast of California, oceans to the left, mountains to the right. Pulled off the highway in between, stayed in a hotel for the night. Off a pier in Santa Barbara, there were dolphins swimming around. The sun was coming up over the mountains, the waves were making a rhythmic sound. And I'm traveling, finding my way through this world we're in. Flying on a plane to Africa, cabin was a colorful sight. People speaking words I couldn't understand. It was a world beat party 7 miles high. Drinking funky tea with a bunch of guys outside a mud hut under African skies. Telling tales of the land I'm from, across the sea in America. And I'm traveling, I'm finding my way through this world we're in. Cities, lands of green, all that can and can't be seen. And I am traveling, finding my way through this world we're in. And